Hey everybody, welcome back to Living Traditions Homestead. We are finally getting back to work on Waddlesville today, you guys. As you know, this is a project that I've been wanting to do for, 7 or 8 years now. Really, ever since we left Arizona and moved out here to Missouri, I've been wanting to work on this project because the part that we're working on today is actually something that we had in Arizona that I absolutely loved.
We actually constructed a pool for our ducks. Ducks love to swim in water, but ducks are so messy. And while we like to use kiddie pools, their pool gets so gross so fast. And having to, lift up that kiddie pool and tip it over and splash the water everywhere, it's heavy. You could get a back injury, but also all of that water just stays there and the ducks make just a humongous mess in that water.
Right. So the project that we're working on for this phase of Waddlesville, which in case you're not aware, we're calling this area of the homestead Waddlesville. You guys helped pick out that name. We got this awesome sign made. You can see all the different animals that we're planning on putting in here. We've got the ducks, we've got the geese, our silkies, a new quail aviary that's going to be going in here eventually. But today we're focusing on that pool area. Like Sarah said, this is going to be one that can kind of self-clean or at least take care of itself without having to tip it over. Let's go on inside. I'll catch you up to speed where we left off in the last video, and then we're going to get right to work today. This is the area where we're going to be building for the ducks. You can see the kiddie pool that we're going to be using. This kiddie pool is about 6 feet across, maybe just a little bit under. This area is 12 feet by 12 feet. Now, the reason that we're making this so big is so that the pool can sit here in the middle, and then we'll fill this entire thing in with gravel, and the pool will sit on top of the gravel. Not only will that then allow for us to be able to put a drain in the bottom of the pool that will drain out this way into our hayfield, but it will also, all of that rock around here, anytime that the ducks or the geese splash water out of the pool, it's going to soak into that rock and go down, and it's not going to make them a big muddy mess where they can just dig holes and make this area, just completely tear this area up. So that's the thought process behind all of this. Again, we had an area like this in Arizona and it worked very well. And I think here in Missouri, it's actually going to be even more important to have it like this so that, because we get so much more rain, the ground is wetter here to begin with. There's already more opportunity for the ducks to make a mess. This way, we'll be able to contain it as much as we can. So for right now, we're going to get this pool out of the way. We'll be working on that a little bit later. You can see that when I built this perimeter out of these landscape logs, now these are all attached together. If you didn't see the first video where we put this all together, these are all screwed together, and then there's rebar driven into the ground to hold them in place as well. And you can see that I left a spot here for this pipe to come through. We'll figure out where the center of this area is. And before we start filling this up with gravel, what we're going to do is we're going to put a 90 degree here, and we'll put a short piece up taller than this, and that will be where the drain for the pool will sit. I'll show you that when we get to that. We have decided, and I probably should have done this before I built this, but I wasn't thinking about it ahead of time. But we're going to put down weed fabric on the bottom of this. We've got some 15-foot wide stuff, so it'll stick up on the edges, which is great. So we'll put that down, and then we'll just fill our rock over the top. And then at the end, we'll cut off what we don't want on the sides. This tube's been sitting outside, so it's a little bent. Luckily, we don't have 200 or 300 feet to roll out. Now we're leaving plenty of overhang on here so that when we fill it and the gravel pushes it down, it doesn't, come inside of it. So we're just going to cut this off with a torch. Now over here on this edge, I'm going to burn a hole where our drain tube is going to go through. Perfect. And now we'll just figure out where the center of this entire area is. Honestly, we're just going to eyeball it because it's not that important as long as we're close. And then we can start, building this up a little bit and start filling this up with gravel. All right, so before we can start filling this area with the gravel, we need to get some things ready here for the drain that will be in the pool. So for the drain that we're going to be installing, we're going to be using a 2-inch shower drain. Looks like this. It's a 2-piece drain, and basically what will happen is we'll drill a hole in the bottom of the kiddie pool. This piece will be inside of the kiddie pool. This piece will be underneath, and then this will just screw in, and that will be our drain in the bottom of the kiddie pool. But we need this to be above the gravel, and we need all of this kind of put together somewhat before we start filling it with gravel. So I'm going to put this back together, and then we're just going to glue some of this up. So I've already got my pieces. I've already got a little piece cut here. What this will be is we'll glue on a 90-degree elbow here, this little short piece here, and then the drain on top, and then we'll kind of stabilize this all. We'll find out where center is here, we'll stabilize that, and then we'll fill our gravel in around that. So because this isn't going to be pressurized, we don't need to worry a whole lot, but I am going to glue it just to make sure it all stays together. Alright, so that is all set. Now, we don't have a big pitch on this pipe going out of here, and I think that's going to be okay. The only way we could get a decent pitch on here is if we fill the gravel up higher than the sides, which I'm not sure how much gravel it's going to take exactly. I went and I filled up as much as I could get in my dump trailer the other day. We'll go over there in a minute. But so I don't want to go overboard. I think this will be fine. This is going to drain because there will be water in the pool, and as long as there's some pitch, it'll drain out. And then really, because the ducks make so much mess in the water, you really need to spray it out anyway. So as long as we can spray it out, it's going to be fine. I don't think we need a ton of force going out. So I think this will be okay. All right, so we're going to let that set up. We're going to figure out where the center is here so we can kind of move this around, and then we're going to go start getting some gravel. All right, so this is the rock that we're going to be using today. It's this crushed limestone. It's the same basically stuff that we have on our driveway, which I did on purpose because this way I can dump it on the driveway. We'll use what we need and what I don't need for this project, or if there's any just left on the ground, it matches the driveway. So I did that on purpose. All right, so I don't know if I've ever shown you guys my dump trailer before. I've had this now for, gosh, several years at least. It's a very handy tool to have. And I've got this thing loaded, maybe even a little too full, but I think it's going to be just fine. All right, here we go. All right, I'll pull up a little bit with the truck and get the rest out. All right, so here's what we've got to work with. I think this is going to be good. I hope this is going to be enough to fill that area up. I think it is. Just looking at it, I think we're even going to have a little extra, which is good. All right, I'm going to pull the trailer forward, and then we're going to get the tractor and start taking this over one bucket load at a time. All right, we've got quite a bit of our rock in here, and we've leveled the spot where the pool needs to go. We're running out of rock, but I'm going to try to make it work with what we have. So what we're going to do is we're going to install the pool area and then use the remaining rock that we have around the edges. If it slopes a little bit toward the landscape timbers, that's fine. And if I need to another day go back and get more rock, I will. But so what we're going to do now is we're going to drill our hole in the pool. And this is the part of the drain that will go inside the pool. So I've got a hole saw that same size. I've already marked where the center of the pool is, so we're going to try our hardest to cut this out without the pool cracking or causing any big issues. I brought sawed off a piece of a log here so we can set this on here to have something solid underneath it. And I think I'm going to run this in reverse because I think that will do a better job of cutting this. So we get one shot at this. I hope it works. All right. Now I'm hoping that these raised letters here inside the pool aren't going to cause too much of a problem. At the end of the day, if it leaks a tiny bit, it's not the end of the world. So we'll put this through like that, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to try to put this on there and see how it looks. But honestly, you guys, before we do that, the sun is starting to come out. I'm still on medication from having that tick problem where I need to watch the sun, so I need to go in the house for a little bit. I'm supposed to be watching because I guess the medicine can make me sunburn easier. So we're going to have lunch, and then I'm going to put a long sleeve shirt on so we can come back out and finish this up after lunch. Well, we're back out from lunch. You can see I'm all covered up because that sun is staying out now, at least until later today when I guess we could get some more rain. So it's been a blessing to have some rain the last couple of days. Not a ton of rain, but enough to keep the grass a little green and enough to make the hayfield grow a little bit. So that is a very good thing. But in between, it's been crazy like this. I don't know if it's like this where you guys are. I think I've been saying this the last few summers, but the sun just feels different. It's just like intense. I don't know how to explain it, but even though the temperature isn't that hot, the sun just feels like it's just burning at your skin. So I won't get into all the reasons why I think that's happening, but it does seem like the sun is a little bit different the last few years. All right, we're going to get on to working on this. So we've got our hole drilled here in the center of the pool. We've got our drain where we want it there. We're going to set this on top. Now for now, I am going to try to do this without using any caulk. Originally, I was going to try to caulk here at the top, but I think we're going to be okay if we can get it tightened down enough. And if I'd prefer to not have to caulk this if we don't have to. So we're going to set that right over where the drain hole is. So this is where the pool will be. We've got that all lined up. We're just going to tighten this down. Now the only thing I'm concerned with is, see, there's these raised letters on here. But I'm thinking if we can tighten it enough, that won't be an issue. All right, so that is on there. That's now going to hold the pool in place, which is great. I mean, obviously when it's filled with water, it's going to be nice and sturdy too. Now the reason I went with this type of drain is because it has this grate on top. But the grate can be removed if there's bigger things in there that we need to rinse out. Or if like a bunch of feathers and stuff get in there. If we really need to, we can take that off and really give it a good rinse. But most of the time we'll leave that on, because when we had one like this in Arizona, a lot of times our ducks would lay eggs in the pool, and you really don't want those going down the drain. So we're going to leave that on. You guys, the next thing that we need to do is just put the ball valve at the end of our tube coming out, and then I think we can try filling this up. For now, I am not going to glue on the ball valve because I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to want it eventually. I may want it either closer up right next to the wood here, or maybe way at the end. I don't know yet. So for now, I'm not going to glue that on, but because there's not a lot of pressure, this isn't, it's not hooked up to a water supply, I think it'll be fine even without it glued. If it leaks just a tiny bit, I don't really care. All right, so let's go ahead and do that really quickly, and then we'll get a hose and we'll fill this up and see how it looks. All right, so here's the valve that we're going to be using, and then this will be, how we drain it. So this will go on like this. Right now it's open, so it shuts like that. When we want to drain the pool, we'll just turn that on and let it run out. But I do think I'm gonna have to cut a hole in the fence, but I'm gonna run this tube to the outside so that it'll drain out there, so we get all the mess away from the ducks. And I think that will be good. All right, so I've got that on, got the pool hooked up. Let's grab a hose and fill the pool up. Well, looks like somebody's coming to check out what the sound of the water is. Ducks just cannot help it when they hear the sound of water. Now, I'm not sure if they're going to be brave enough to actually go up in the pool yet or not, especially with us standing this close. But they definitely see what we're doing. No, looks like they're going back to their little pool for right now. Well, we officially have a pool filled with water. No ducks in it yet, but hey, I'm happy to see that the water is staying in. It's not leaking out everywhere. Our drain seems to be holding water just fine, so that's awesome. So you guys, I still have probably 2 or 3 buckets full of rock over in the driveway. I'm going to bring those over yet and try to smooth this out the best I can, and then try to judge whether or not I need to go back and get more rock. It's Saturday afternoon right now, so the quarry by us is closed for the rest of today and tomorrow. So if I need more rock, I'll need to do that on Monday. So this is where I'm going to wrap up the first part of this video. I'm going to be back with you guys probably on Monday, and that's when I'm going to start building a bridge. We're actually going to build a little bridge that comes out over here down to the ground so that the ducks can walk up and climb into the pool. I think we'll probably end up doing some more rock around the edges, maybe some river rock or something, just to kind of make this area look a little nicer. But I think this is coming along really well. I'm excited. I'm just going to go scoop up those last few rocks, and then I need to get in the house for a while, get out of this sun. So you guys, I'll catch back up with you in just a second. Well, it is Monday morning, and it is time to get back to work. We had a great day of rest in the Lord yesterday, but today is all about getting this project pretty much finished up. So the thing that we're going to work on first today is building the kind of bridge or the little dock that's going to go out to the pool area for the ducks. I'm excited to get this part going. If you guys have watched me build anything in the past, you know that I don't start with much of a plan. I have kind of a picture in my head of what I want to build, and that's how I work on things. So like I said, I have a picture in my head. We're going to try to make that picture come true. I've got a bunch of leftover lumber, some old pressure treated 4x4s, a couple of those landscape timbers left, and then I went to the lumber yard and I bought some fence pickets as well. These are 1 inch thick by about 5.5 inches wide, and we're going to use those to build the surface that the ducks will walk on. So I think the plan is going to be to make this 3 feet wide. Oh, I forgot to mention as well, you can see I went down to a part of our property where we have some water, and I gathered up some river rock to bring up here. Probably going to bring a few more yet, just because I think it makes it look kind of nice. I built a little walkway over there leading up to the pool as well, so they'll have multiple ways to get in the pool. And I also ended up having to caulk the drain on the inside of the pool. After we put it together on Saturday, came out Sunday morning to feed the ducks, and it was empty. It had leaked. So I caulked it yesterday, filled it back up this morning, and so far it seems to be good. So I kind of figured I might have to do that, but it was worth trying without. All right, so if we make this 3 feet wide, I think that's going to be perfect. That's right about there. And by doing that, I have enough of these fence pickets. If we cut these all in half, because they're 6 feet long, we'll be able to make this a total of almost 14 feet. And I don't think we're going to need quite that much, so I think that's going to work out well. All right, so the first thing we need to do is we're going to build a platform coming out from the pool. It's going to be, you know, kind of even, maybe just a little below the top of the pool. And then we'll build our part coming out like this. I plan on doing this with these pieces of 4x4 that I have. I'm going to cut these first to our width, and we'll start putting those up, and we'll just see how it goes as we work on this project together. So this will be the width of the bridge. Well, these are about 34 inches, so they'll be just an inch on each side wider than this. So what we need to do now is figure out how many of these fence pickets we need to cut in half to do this first part. So we've got, these are about 4 feet. So we need enough to go 4 feet, which is 48 inches. All of the fence pickets are 5.5 inches wide. So let me do a little math, and then we'll cut enough that we can fill this with the fence pickets. we've got these all cut to size. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna lay these on here. I'm gonna kind of lay them in place first. I think I'm gonna leave just a tiny gap between them so that water can get soaked through if it needs to. So we're just gonna put these on here like this. You know me, I'm not gonna worry about being too perfect. We have a saying called homestead perfect. Homestead perfect is what we need for this project. All right, I'm gonna wait on this last one because we need to put our pieces, our rails that will go down here. All right, so I'm gonna screw these into place and then we're gonna move on to the rest of the project. I'm just using 1 5/8" deck screws for this. I think I'll do 2 in each one. All right, so this is gonna be the first part. Let's start working on the part that will go out, and then we just need to add the boards all the way to the edges, and then there's a few other finishing touches that I wanna do around the sides. All right, you guys, look at this. We are almost done. Anything that we have to do after this really is just for show. So we've got our, I don't know, would you call this a deck or a bridge? I don't know what it is. Going out, our platform going out to our kiddie pool. You can see the ducks are still using their temporary pool. They haven't figured this out just yet, although it's only been filled up since this morning, and I've been pretty much out here working the entire day. So I think they'll figure it out pretty soon. All right, what I want to do is I want to put some posts along here, along the sides. Again, they're only going to be for decoration, really, so they're not going to really add any support or anything like that. I do just want to add them just to make it look a little neat. So, all right, I'm going to figure out how we're going to do that, and then we're going to get that done, and this project will be just about complete. All right, I think I've got it figured out. I'm going to start a foot in here. So the first post will be here, and then the last one will be a foot from the end down there, and I think it'll still look okay. Now again, these are just really for decoration. They don't serve any purpose, so I'm not going to be too crazy about how I attach them or anything like that. I did make some little spacers to put on here just out of some scrap wood because these cedar planks hang over the edge a little bit, so we need to be able to have that gap filled in. So I'm going to get these all screwed to the sides. I'm going to level them, make them as vertical as I can just by eyeballing it. They're also not perfectly straight boards, which is why I used them, honestly. They were warped, and I probably won't use them for anything really important. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get all of these attached, 4 on each side, and then we'll start putting our chain on there for the decoration. All right, it's time to attach our chain. We've got all of these poles up. You guys, it is brutal out here. It is getting hot. And today's the coolest day of the week. We're at about 90 degrees right now, maybe just a little over. The rest of the week is supposed to be in the high 90s, which not only rough on us, but it's rough on all the animals as well. All right, I'm going to cut this here in half, and then we'll start attaching our chain to the poles. All right, I'm not exactly sure how high I want these. So for today, honestly, I'm just going to zip tie these on. Again, they're just for decoration, so it doesn't really matter a whole lot. All right, I think that's about the right height. So now that I have that figured out, I am going to put screws in some of these to hold them in place. I think that looks pretty awesome. Pretty close to what I had pictured in my mind. Well, you guys, look at that. We've got a bridge leading out to the pool for the ducks. I think it turned out awesome. It's exactly what I had pictured in my mind. I think this is going to be perfect for the ducks. I think they're going to have a good time once, of course, they figure out that they have a pool now to swim in. Seems like the pool is holding water now that we caulked it. I haven't had to refill it at all while we've been out here working. I've been out here 4 or 5 hours. So, you guys, this is a project well done. I'm very excited. I'm going to get everything cleaned up so that it's out of the way, and then hopefully the ducks will soon come and start exploring it. I think I'm going to maybe put their other little temporary pool right next to this in hopes that they then see the water over here in the new pool. I'm going to get cleaned up, and if they start swimming while I'm still cleaning up, I'll get some footage for you guys. This project is complete. Like I said, I may end up adding some more of these river rocks down the road, but they're only for decoration. The project itself is completely done. I think this turned out so awesome, and I think the ducks and the geese are going to have so much fun swimming in here. I think this whole Waddlesville area is just a fun project, something that, you know, we work really hard here on our homestead. We grow most of our own food, including animals. We manage all of this land, but this area, this is intended just to be a fun area for us and for the animals that live in it. So I'm really excited to be working on this area. It makes me remember why we got into homesteading in the first place, not just to be doing work all the time, but to also be having some fun. You guys, I hope you enjoyed this project. If there's other things you think we should add to this Waddlesville area, give me some ideas. I'm definitely open to suggestions. Doesn't look like the ducks are going to come swim just yet, but I know that they're going to find this over the next few days, and when they do, we'll definitely get some footage for you guys. Thank you so much for stopping by the homestead today. Don't forget that, as always, the best way you can help us here on our channel is just by sharing our videos so that other people can enjoy them as well. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, to hit that subscribe button before you leave. And as always, thank you so much for stopping by our homestead. Take care, and God bless.